Hello, my name is Jake the Kettlesnake, and I am a hypnotist on VRChat. I want to be doing a video making an instructional guide on how to perform hypnosis on VRChat because I feel like it's not a very talked about thing. I don't think it's that difficult, and I feel like a lot of people could use this opportunity to learn. So, to start off, I've been doing this for about a year and a half on VRChat, nothing IRL. I do a wide range of sessions, and I think I have a good amount of experience. I've learned quite a few things from my peers, such as stuff from VR Hypnotics and Hypnobeans, and I feel like I just want to share some things with you. So, to start off, what is hypnosis? Hypnosis is a special state of mind in which someone is more open to suggestion. So you might be wondering, how do I achieve this state of mind? Well, that would be through relaxation. And do you know that state when you're just hyper focused on something? All your attention's on that one thing, whether that's watching a movie, whether that's reading a book, and you're just hyper focused on that. You combine that with a state of relaxation, that state of feeling right before you go to sleep, and everything's super fuzzy and tired. You combine those two together, and your mind becomes more suggestible. That, in my opinion, is hypnosis. And that's how you're able to achieve all these suggestions and that wonderful state of relaxation. So, what is it capable of doing? It is capable of doing a lot of things, a lot of good, some bad, some stuff ranging from relaxing your mind to removing anxiety to doing something fun like making you think you're a puppy or freezing you in place. Now, there are, of course, 18 plus sides of things, but if you are a minor, I would stay away from them. And even if you are an adult, I would recommend also staying away from them until you've had probably at least 2 months of experience, would be a good starting point. And I'm talking active experience and not just showing up once, twice, and calling that 2 months. So, what are some do's and what are some don'ts when we come to these possibilities? Some do's are some of the stuff that I listed before, whether that's relaxing stuff or, those fun stage hypnosis things. But some don'ts include stuff like creating new personalities or DID alters, dissociative identity disorder. Those are called tulpas, from what I know, and when they're created through hypnosis, and they are not good. You do not want to be creating those. That is a mental illness. You should not be giving people mental illnesses. That's what I say to that. And you should not be erasing core memories, even if they're trauma memories, because if they're trauma memories, they still exist in the subject. Now the subject just doesn't remember them, so they can still suffer panic or anxiety attacks from these suggestions or from these traumas. They just don't know what's causing it. And that leads to even more stress and anxiety, and even just memory erasure in general can be a very dangerous thing. And I would recommend staying away from it. There are some other things, but pretty much don't make someone hurt themselves, hurt other people, become addicted, or change their mental state in such a drastic way. Now, how do we keep people safe? Besides not doing stupid and dangerous things, that would be through something called a safety trigger. A safety trigger is a special suggestion that you can give your subject to help them snap out of any hypnosis suggestion, whether it's them being dropped, whether it's a suggestion that makes them uncomfortable, or just something that doesn't feel right. So for my safety triggers, I typically have a subject name followed by the words full stop. So for me, mine would be Jake full stop, and for someone like another friend, it would be Kitty full stop, and so on and so forth. And when they say these words, they immediately snap out of any hypnosis suggestion and cannot be hypnotized again until they are comfortable with being hypnotized. Now, in the words of hypnotist Amma, you can also add an extra suggestion that makes this even more effective. That being that a subject cannot be hypnotized if they feel the context is wrong. If they feel like it's not the right time to be hypnotized, the people are the wrong, or they're just not in the right mind state. I might have butchered the wording, but the point is, if the context isn't right for the subject, you can word it in such a way that their safety trigger will automatically go off and they cannot be hypnotized until it is the right moment. So, there are some safety questions you should also ask. Now, I'm about to list you with a lot of these, so I will also link them in the description and maybe even in the comments, depending on how things turns out. So, the first one you should ask is, what do you want to do with hypnosis? You should ask this question because if they don't know what they want to do and say, just surprise me, you might think of something that sounds totally fine, but makes the subject incredibly uncomfortable. And that's not good. That's not okay. So you should always clarify what you plan on doing. If they don't know what they want to do, you should say, here are some options. And once they say, ooh, I like that one, then that's what you do. Next question you should ask is if they have epilepsy. Subjects who suffer from epilepsy tend to have a higher chance of an epileptic seizure. So always refuse the session from someone who has epilepsy. As for someone who's on drugs or alcohol or weed or whatever, if they're on a light amount, it tends to be fine, but I would probably be cautious, especially if you're a new hypnotist. Better not to take those chances. Next thing you should ask should be something like, where are you sitting? Are you sitting upright, lying down? This is to ensure that they don't fall flat on their face. If they're standing up, maybe it's best to just ask them to sit down. Asking if they removed all distractions, if they have time, if they're on a time crunch, stuff like that to make sure that the setting is right for them in the real world. Big stretch. Other questions you can ask to help dictate how you're going to put them under are stuff like, how well can you focus on a scale of 1 to 10? By asking this question, you can determine if you should be using more visualizing terms or more sensational terms. If they struggle visualizing, you should focus more on how the body feels rather than what they should be imagining. So saying something like, instead of saying, imagine you're on a bright sunny beach, instead saying, that feeling when you're nice and relaxed on the warm sun at the beach. Something like that. More sensations. Now, for a subject who can visualize well, using those sensations can be a very powerful thing. Maybe asking them to visualize their ideal place might be useful, but otherwise, just go with what you feel comfortable with. Just try to avoid making them uncomfortable. Asking questions like how well can they focus also dictates how you should put them under. If they have a hard time focusing, maybe something that can entice them inwards tends to help. So if they have ADHD or autism, something like a spiral could help grab their attention. Even if it doesn't make them tired, it keeps their eyes on you. Or fast-paced wording, overloading them by giving them a bunch of information. Or alternatively, if they can retain a lot of information, if they can focus well, something more akin to progressive relaxation might be better for them. This really depends on the subject, and you kind of just need to get a knack for this. Now, another question you should ask is if they have trauma, phobias, or PTSD. You should ask this because, well, you want to avoid that. Let's say you tell them to imagine a nice fluffy cloud and their parents had an incident skydiving. You don't want to bring that trauma back up to them, so you knowing this in advance can be very helpful. Also asking for mental illnesses, so if they have DID or schizophrenia, might be useful to know, especially DID, which I've noticed a considerable portion of people have on VRChat, at least compared to the real world. If a DID alter or dissociative identity disorder alter or just alternative personality, however you call it, does not consent, this could interfere with your session, and that's not good. After that, you've pretty much got it, and you're ready to move on to your next step, which is your induction. And those were the things I was talking about earlier. I would recommend for newer hypnotists, I should say, to just be focusing on that progressive relaxation. Don't even be focusing on suggestions. Don't try those. Just do 4 sessions. That was 5 fingers. Do sessions with 4 different subjects before moving on to suggestions or new inductions. Just try and get a knack for this. Your session should be around 9 minutes total, but taking it faster just tends to end in disaster. Now, let's see what else. Then, once you've got them dropped down, after that, you should do something called a deepener. And this is when you take them even deeper. Even when their body is not moving, you need to relax their mind further. This is the part where you tell them to imagine themselves on a nice sunny beach, in a nice comfy bed, whatever works for you, or focusing on those sensations if you need to. Now, to confirm if they're deep enough, a very easy way to do this is say the following words. Even though your body is really tired, I just want you to squeeze your right controller if you feel like you're deep enough, left controller if you're not. That tends to help, but finding your own way also works. Anyhow, once you feel like they are deep enough, then you can move on to giving them their suggestions. Once again, if you're new to this, don't give them suggestions. You can give it a try, but if you were to give suggestions, keep it simple. Don't do anything complicated like making them perform incredible acrobatic dances or having entire new memories of a childhood, because that can be bad. Instead, focus on stuff like when you wake up, you feel nice, happy, and fluttery. And then move on to stuff like when you say your name followed by the word relax, you will feel an immense relaxation flow over your body. All your worries and anxieties slip away, and you just feel nice and happy for the next minute or so. Something like that. Don't take my words for that exactly, but then you would progress and make it more complicated. Trying new inductions as you progress, maybe 3 inductions or 3 subjects before learning a new induction. Once again, these are not really set in stone, but try and get good at something before learning something else, I guess is my point. Keep it simple and let it get more complicated. Now, when you wake them up, you should do something called an awakener. So, you would say something like, starting at 10, the energy returning to your feet, 9, coming up into your legs, 8, your chest and your core allowing your breathing to regulate, and then you would so on and so forth until you've named every part of their body until they can move again and wake them up. Do not make this go by quickly. Let it go by slowly. The slower the better, because you take them up too fast, they're going to be dazed, they're going to be confused, and it's not going to be fun. Then, pretty much, you're just going to give them 30 seconds. Sorry, I lagged out there. You're going to give them about 30 seconds of a breather. Just give them time to catch their breath, get their memories back in order. Some subjects experience memory loss when going under, but that depends on wording, on how you word your sessions. Now, you can then test their suggestion and safety trigger. It's good to typically try and test the safety trigger first, but sometimes you might need to test the suggestion first. Testing their safety trigger is typically as simple as putting them under, use your safety trigger, and then exposing them to a suggestion and having them use their safety trigger then. That should be good enough in most cases. If they can't get their safety trigger down, you're going to need to just try and hack it into them or give up and don't do hypnosis with them. Don't take away their safety. Take away their suggestion and don't do work with them until they are ready to use their safety trigger. It takes practice. Most subjects get it. I have not experienced any subject who has not gotten their safety trigger down. Now, what happens if a subject wakes up and something bad's happening? They're having a panic or an anxiety attack. They can't remember things. That's called an abnormal reaction. And to fix it, you can either drop them and tell them it's gone, do it in a slow process. So saying, your body will start to calm down, you feel better, your memories are coming back to you now. Or alternatively, what I do is I say, just focus on the tip of my finger, and as it goes back and forth, you start to notice that previous feeling going away, and so on and so forth. And give it about 30 seconds of just wagging your finger back and forth, and that tends to fix it most times. Though doing some extra research on how to deal with ab reactions is an important thing because you never know when one is going to come. Now, aftercare. What do I do after I've done my suggestions, after I've done my safety triggers? You sit with your subjects. You have a nice chat. You might want to talk about the session. Just make sure everything's going okay with them and do that for around 10 minutes or so. If you can't stay with them for longer, that's on you. You should have made sure you have enough time to stay with them for after. And if there's an emergency, make sure there is someone there in the room with them. Your friend, their friend, anyone. Make sure they are not left alone for those 10 minutes. You don't want something bad to happen and no one is there to accompany them. Anything else I am missing? Oh yes. Where do you find subjects? So some good places to start are some VRC Hypno Discord servers. The two that I would really recommend are VR Hypnotic because they host hypnosis lectures and enable you to learn. They have plenty of resources in them, and I'm going to link a few of their resources down below, like the Hypnosis Safety Kit written by Folix, and maybe Ama's take on VRC hypnosis. The Ama is the owner of VR Hypnotic, and if you want more of a casual experience learning hypnosis, I would recommend Hypno Beans. They are still really active and have meetups on Wednesdays at I think 9 p.m. CST. You can go check them out as well. And if you want a purely adult experience, I believe Hypnotic Furries is 18 plus. I don't know what to say about them because I've never been there, but I've heard some good reviews about them. If you have any questions about hypnosis, feel free to leave a comment. My Discord will also be provided, and you can also talk to me on Discord. I am also willing to give sessions as well if you are interested in being a subject, or if you're just looking for a bit of advice. That should be it. I also plan in the future on this channel to be uploading hypnosis sessions, so if you want to watch a few of those, who knows, I might have some uploaded. Have a good day.